Jen, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
I'm excited too. We're just wrapping up day 2. We saved the best for last year. We're so excited to chat with you and pick your brain about so many things nutrition coaching. But specifically, I know you put so much time and energy into YouTube recently, and you had
Yes.
a great video on like a 30-minute video on how to start nutrition coaching. And I wanted to ask you, based on that video, I think it's like a year old or something like that. What would you do differently about your nutrition coaching if you had to start over from scratch?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things, but I'm now 15 years in, and if I could put 2 instead of 1,
Sure.
I would better understand how referrals come in to set up your business. And the biggest thing is your Google and your website presence, and then the reputation that you build and word of mouth. So I think like many newer coaches are like, oh my gosh, social media, I got to like make reels and post all the time. And definitely that's important. But when I'm a very data-driven nutrition coach, like I very much like study my analytics, and 90% of my client referrals come from a Google search to my website, which is, really understands the customer journey and, maps that out really well. And then word of mouth referrals. And so I wish in my earlier years, I actually de-emphasized social media. It sounds like weird advice in like 2025, but built things that had more lasting, tangible results, which is your website and then the reputation you build in your local community. So if I had known that 15 years ago, I would have like gotten off the ground a lot faster.
What's the best place to get that stuff started in terms of just making sure that you have like everything set up correctly on Google and you're either like asking clients to like review you, or like what's the best place to start with that?
Yeah. So one is make sure your Google listing is correct and up to date. I will admit some embarrassing things from my own business back in the day. I had the wrong website. There was a typo in my website on my Google profile, probably for like 2 years. So if people clicked it, it took them to like a broken link page. And then there was one time that Google randomly changed my phone number to a complete stranger's. So it's something that when you're new to starting a nutrition business, get your Google profile set up as quickly as possible. And I know this might seem weird because we have a lot of like brick and mortar coaches, but we also have a lot of like just virtual only nutrition coaches. And I see in the coaches I mentor, the ones that don't have a tangible address that Google can actually locate. Because think about how people shop for services is they probably type in, nutrition coach, city, town, state, whatever that they're in. And so I didn't realize the advantage I had having a physical address attached to my Google listing. And I get so many more search inquiries. And then, when I talk to coaches that are virtual only and they're like, well, I want to keep my home address private, or, they don't want to share that with the world. It's like, well, can you partner with a local gym where you like have permission to, use their address, or you have like a little studio out of it, or whatever the case might be. Because when I look at like, where do my clients come from? They're searching nutrition coach or dietitian or nutritionist, whatever the word is that they're looking for.
Tied to that.
They're tied to the geographical location. It makes a huge difference.
Huge difference. I wonder even like, sometimes there's simple fixes around it. I totally understand wanting to keep your home address
private.
Private and off online. So that makes sense. But even sometimes like people don't even know like you can rent a PO box
at like a co-working space.
Yeah, exactly. Or something along those lines for something that's like really reasonable and well worth it if you have this stuff set up. So that stuff really works well as well.
So that would be the first tip is like get your Google listing up and running. Then any happy client that's ever worked with you, get them to leave a Google review. So the way I think about marketing, I have like funny little metaphors when I like do this in my own brain, is I talk about 2 different styles of marketing. There are satellite efforts, and then there's rubber duckies. And I stole it a little bit from Seth Godin, although I don't think he uses those exact terms. If you don't know who Seth Godin is, he's like king of marketing. But I spoke at the same conference he did, and he talked about this idea of building a satellite. What's a satellite? Something that takes more work to get set up, but once you launch it into space, it just works and works and works and works. And so then a rubber ducky is something that you drop into like a stream, and then it goes down the river, flies over the waterfall, and off it goes. So when I think about posting on social media, those are rubber duckies, right? You drop your post, you do your reel, you kind of get the internet's attention for like a partial second. and then it's down the stream and off, off people's feeds. So satellites were where I put more effort early. I started to write blog posts and put up recipes on my website, things that my ideal client avatar would like search on Google, and then they would stumble on an article. I would try to answer a pain point or solve a problem, and then always have a call to action of like how to work with me. A Google review is a satellite form of marketing. It's one-time effort to get a client to, leave a testimonial on Google, but forever that testimonial works and works and works. And so in my first year, I was nervous to ask people to leave reviews. And I just forced myself with every single client that, I felt like it was going to be pretty much a home run, that they would say, yep, super positive experience, is I pushed myself to ask in person, sent a quick follow-up email with just, again, here are the links to make it really easy. And then those Google reviews from 8 years ago, 12 years ago, 2 years ago, they still work on my behalf, because I don't know about you. Do you read Amazon reviews? Do you read Google reviews before you make a buying decision?
Without a doubt.
You need that social proof from other people. So I think about it like satellite work and rubber ducky work. And so a really good website is satellite work. Hard work to write good copy, but it works as a silent employee. Even when I sleep, my website makes sales. So
Very
does that
cool.
kind of separation make sense of what's
Oh,
a
it makes
satellite
total.
and what's a rubber ducky? Yeah.
I like to similarly think about them. It's like short-term and long-term in terms of like the evergreen stuff that's going to do the heavy lifting, especially like long-term gains, and thinking about it that way, and trying to put effort into like both of them, or at least not be so one-sided at times, right? Because there's stuff that can benefit us long-term. And I know that this, and we know like YouTube would be one of them for sure, in terms of like search-based stuff that gets found.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of my mentors, I always love, picking other people's brains, or someone that I'm like, okay, success leaves clues. Who's smarter than me? Who's a little bit further down the road? And one of my mentors, he taught it and explained it as this like ladder of trust. So there's different marketing strategies that have like inherent different degrees of trust associated. And I don't know if I can screen share if it's helpful. I came prepared with a little picture, if that would be helpful to the audience.
Yeah, without a doubt. What I'll do is if on the right-hand side, if you wanted to do present or invite, you'll see slides and PDFs, and that should be just as easy. If not, there's share screen as well.
Okay. What I can also do is I just threw it in the chat to you if you want to open up what I just sent over. And if you're able to screen share really quickly as the host, then I can, because I don't have the ladder of trust memorized, but I definitely know what sits closer to the top and closer to the bottom. And especially if you're a coach in 2025, I don't know the sentiment if other people agree, but it's a tougher market right now. It's a tougher economy to make sales right now for many coaches. And
are you experiencing that with your own stuff and the coaches you work with? It's just like the process isn't as seamless or quote unquote easy as it once was?
What I'd say right now, and I'm not going to get into any political leanings any which way, is just I think people are hesitant to make bigger purchases, spend their money. Everyone's just a little bit cautious and guarded. At the same time, I think the coaching industry, the cream rises to the top, right? And people have been burned by coaches that have overpromised, underdelivered, overcharged. And so I think consumers today need to, stock is maybe the wrong word, but they need to research who they're going to hire a little bit longer. There's a little bit of a longer buying cycle. They need to feel really, really confident. Perfect. We're right at the ladder of trust. Cool. So this was something I decided to draw out for my own brain to be able to see it. And the way the ladder of trust works is some things build trust really, really fast, where you can warm up a cold audience really quickly to get to know you, like you, trust you. And there's other strategies that work. They just need a ton more exposure using that particular tool. And just like with nutrition coaching, I always remind my clients, like, there's many right tools to get the job done. So you can always pull out your hammer. That's your favorite tool. But as a coach, can I introduce a wrench and a saw and a tape measure and some other things to make the job be a little bit easier? So I always like how to be really scrappy, like especially for the solopreneur coaches where it's just them. They don't have a huge team. They don't have a big marketing budget. And so at the end of the green, the bottom of the list, those are things that work the fastest to gain nutrition clients.
Gotcha.
One, is if you've already worked with someone in the past, I do this. I actually go back about 2-3 years in old appointment bookings. So if it's a slow month, I'll go back 2 years in my calendar and be like, who was I working with in April of 2023? And see, they maybe graduated on really happily and they were in a good place. But I'll reach back out and send a checking in message and remind them that, if anything's changed or they want a little tune up or they want some extra accountability, I've got some availability in my space, in my calendar.
Amazing.
So
I think it's a great strategy. If we can get tactical around that one.
Yeah.
Tell me about the outreach message. What does that sound like coming from Jen?
So sometimes it's just super casual, like thinking about you, in the subject line. I'll always reference kind of where we left things. So I'll go back and I'll take the time and review my old chart notes, talk about something in their life, their pet's name, their kid, what was going on in their life, talk about the last set of nutrition goals that we were working towards, and then just do a general check-in like, hey, like fill me in, how's it going? But I always do a call to action, and I use an Acuity booking link, but you can use any sort of back and forth booking link, or you can suggest some available times. But I always make it very low friction that if they want to jump back in, I attach an invitation of like, hey, if you're just looking for like a quick accountability or a little tune up, I would, love to circle back where we left things off and just kind of see where things are at in 2025 and like go after this year's goals. So very warm, very inviting, but low friction for them. And they basically have to click a link and then it shows in real time what my schedule is like. And it's just a gentle invitation of like, hey, if you want to work together again, let's jump back into things. Sometimes I'll do it a little bit more gamified. So I'm very much known for gamification nutrition coaching. And I have another email template I use called High, Low, Buffalo. And it was a talking point we would do at family dinner sometimes. And so I use 3 emojis and I just write high, low, buffalo with like a party emoji, kind of like the sad emoji, and then like a buffalo. And I'll be like, again, checking in. Hey, like I just thought about you. You popped into my mind. Something that, I'm thinking about that would connect back to the person. I thought I would actually run kind of 3 fun emojis by you. Hi, party emoji. Tell me about something awesome or great or something that you're really excited about in your life right now. Low, what's been a struggle, an obstacle, a challenge you've been facing lately? Buffalo, what's something coming up in the next 3 months that you're like most excited about? So kind of the high is like celebrate a win. The low is like what's an obstacle or a challenge point? Buffalo, what are you excited about? And then I'll go, hey, I'll go first. And then I'll share a high, a low, a buffalo. Remember, coaching is a human connection relationship. Mm-hmm. So what this really does is it reminds them of the real human behind it. It's building rapport, it's building connection, it's showing that I care and I genuinely want to hear from them. And that's more subtle. I might not do a pitch to coaching. It's more like, hey, wanted to check in on you, but it reopens the coaching conversation from someone that's maybe fallen off or isn't a paying client anymore. And oftentimes it re-engages them, but they're like, oh yeah, like they'll mention a struggle of like, yeah, I actually do want to work with you again. So that's kind of 2 examples of how that might look like in real life.
Amazing. I think it's fair to say in 2025, when there's so much automation and technology in things, like if you can introduce your personality and like an energy, like that type of stuff is like people can see that effort, and that goes a long way into building that personal connection. Is that part of the magic there?
Absolutely. And actually, I want to give you a compliment. You do this really well, is sending personalized Loom video messages. So that's been another tool I've added to my coaching toolbox in the last couple of years. And if you can add audio or if you can add visual with audio, again, I love this phrase, people don't buy coaching, they buy coaches. They shop for the individual coach they feel a connection with. So anything you can do as a coach to really make yourself stand out, show that you're putting in the effort, show that it's not just ChatGPT sending a bland generic email. I think people are starved for connection. So the trust ladder, that's exactly what we're trying to do, is really focus on, look at what the highest trust activities are in the bottom, I'll say 7 to 10. Well, what are we doing here? We're doing a live presentation. Dr. Marc has like really put together a great group of speakers to add value for his audience. Like that's amazing. Google reviews, testimonials, they speak to, I've worked with this coach, I feel safe, they got me results, and I can, put my name behind working with them. Huge level of trust from social proof and Google reviews. Happy clients, word of mouth referrals. Even if you work entirely virtually, They have significant others, they've got friends, they've got colleagues, they've got, people that they can talk to about this. And then people that you've already worked with who have hired you, paid you, had a good experience. Remember, they can become clients again down the road. Life changes, that people need updates. So those are the ones that have the most bang for their buck, and they really don't cost much, if anything, to put together. But you can see as
sweat
you go,
equity a lot of times, right? In terms of just making sure, like putting it together, as well as having the courage to hit send, hit post, do the things, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But you can see a lot of the places where people spend lots of time, lots of money, ads, trying to, constantly make reels, put, all your clips together and be so engaging online. I guess you can work hard to be really viral on the internet, but I would rather be a local celebrity to just a few thousand people that I've known and trusted and liked in my community. And I've got doctors that refer to me, and the physical therapists and chiropractors and, triathlon coaches and hockey coaches in my local area. I'd rather be a little like 5-mile celebrity than super famous on the internet. It's actually likes and follows and the algorithm stuff I pay the least attention to. And I really focus more on like building the relationships first.
Oh man, it's so important. Jen, I can't tell you how many times I literally have this conversation almost like weekly at this point, where someone with a huge following comes to me and they're like, I saw your video on this. I need some help with this. Like, I've done this thing and I have all these eyes on my stuff, and I literally I can't make any money and I don't know how to figure it out. And I feel like so many people are chasing that with the intent of thinking that's going to fix everything for them. And it's the furthest thing from the truth.
Oh my gosh, you guys, if you followed me online, I have for Prosper less than 1,000 followers, Nutrition RX, 2 or 3, I couldn't even tell you the number because I don't look at it. I close 20, 30 new clients every single month. I have a roster in the 500 to 600 of active clients I'm coaching. I do great money, $500,000 a year in sales. I'm not struggling for business, but I spend almost 5% of my time, my marketing efforts, is trying to do the viral video stuff. It just, I put more work into it last year. And if anything, it crushed my soul and burnt me out and didn't make me happy. And then I went back into these more old school marketing tactics of just relationship building, giving talks and presentations in my local community. Really, I thank every time I get a referral. I go above and beyond to thank that person who said that word of mouth referral. What's it do? It reinforces the behavior. So if I, go out of my way to send a voice note thanking someone for the new client they sent my way, I write handwritten postcards. I still write handwritten notes to my clients, pop it in the mail as a surprise and delight. But it's these small little things that make you stand out. And then I get more word of mouth and more Google testimonials, and it becomes a self-fulfilling kind of upward spiral of marketing. But people don't do that stuff anymore.
No, they don't. They really, really don't. And there's just so much opportunity within that. It's the obvious stuff. It's the stuff that's right in front of us. Yeah. People are right in front of us. We just got to find ways to get in front of them and stay top of mind. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Jump in. Go ahead.
I was going to ask in terms of I know you put so much time and energy around, how coaches can deliver their service and market their service, and even the fulfillment around what the offer looks like. I wanted to talk to you about pricing, because I know you've put a lot of effort into that and teaching that and showing people how to do that. What do you think the biggest mistake is when it comes to pricing your coaching service?
Okay, this is going to be a really controversial answer, and I think a lot of people are maybe not going to agree with me, but I am going to speak to my experience. I sell bundles and packages. I don't sell monthly subscriptions. And
why is that?
Here's why. I think a lot about nutrition coaching, similar to the relationship you might have with a mental health therapist or even a massage therapist. There are times I need a lot of support. If I got in a car accident and I had whiplash, I would want to be able to see my massage therapist maybe 2 or 3 times the first week of the car accident, then maybe twice a week, the few weeks after. Then my back's getting a little better, I go down to once a week, then maybe once every 3 weeks. Oops, I tweaked it, clean and jerking at the gym. Okay, I got to go back to weekly again. And so I talk about this idea of accordion pricing. What does an accordion do? You can crunch it together, you can stretch it out, but it's still one accordion. So what I found has worked really well for pricing with me is I sell packages that speak to the pain point and the level of commitment someone is mentally starting at when they come in. So I have a very low 2-3 appointment, $4.99. Most people can throw that on their credit card. They don't usually need to talk to their significant other. They can work it into their monthly budget. And that's my get their foot in the door. We get a few sessions, and then I can obviously sell them on the back end to keep going with additional appointments, additional bundles. Then I have a 6-month weight loss, anti-disordered eating, heal from chronic dieting, a $15.99, somewhere right in the middle. That's, paid up front, or I have a $2.99 a month payment plan, but it's not $2.99 forever. There's a period of fixed amount of time that we're working on this. But again, most of them then turn into long paying clients on the back end. And then I have a high price anchor, $2,500, kind of VIP package. Most people go to the middle. And what's nice about that $15.99 is it is an investment in their health, but they can see what they're getting for the length of time. And I think people are so burnt out on subscriptions. Every, SaaS business wants to hook you on a subscription. To watch television, you're on a subscription. To have a phone, you're on a subscription. Everyone's burnt out on subscriptions. So what I find is, because I'm always meeting my clients on the frequency that they need. Most of my clients I meet every 2 weeks, but my more intense clients I may be meeting with weekly to every 2 weeks. My maintenance clients might be once a month, every 6 weeks. And then I've got really long-term clients I might see once every 3 months, once a season, spring, summer, fall, winter. So I have clients I've literally worked with for 10 years, but I talk to them 3, maybe 4 times a year. And they love it because they can buy, once they're through my initial package, I just sell graduation bundles. So they can buy a pack of 5 sessions, 3 sessions, 1 session. What's great is I get paid up front for the number of sessions. And then I drip out the delivery, but I meet the person right where they're at. So from a pricing perspective, I love it as a business owner because I get cash up front before the work is delivered, which is great. My clients love it because they're able, if they need to see me more frequently, say I'm working with someone for an eating disorder recovery, we might go through their 6 or 9 appointments in 2 months. That's okay. They just rebuy another package sooner. I've got someone else that might take the same 9 sessions and they take 8 months to use them up. Fantastic, because they're being seen on the pace that they want. So when I say I have 400 or 500 clients I can actively manage, it doesn't mean I see 400 clients a month. But what's cool is if they've all paid for their packages up front, as a business owner, you get the cash up front, but everyone's level of service meets them at the pace that they're at. Think about it like therapy, right? You wouldn't want to always see your therapist weekly. If you're doing great, you're no, I'm good. Let me go live my life. But if things come up, that, okay, I have some pre-saved sessions with my therapist. Let's just jump back in their calendar and keep working through things. Gotcha. So it's counterintuitive. It's different than how a lot of coaches out there price things. All I can speak to is my experience with that, and it works really, really well.
Amazing. No, thank you for sharing that. Do you feel like through those periods of time when people sign back up and they get a graduation bundle and stuff, does the fulfillment and the focus and those type of things change through time as well? What does that look like?
Totally. I don't have a prescriptive package where I'm in session 1, we cover this. In session 2, we cover that. In session 3, we cover this. There are, of course, important nutrition topics I want to make sure that we hit on, for good overall health. But I really do lean hard into motivational interviewing, which is a style of coaching where you ask thoughtful questions. You really give them this place to explore. And so I don't come in with an agenda. Say I was going to meet with you right after this call. I really check in with you of how are things going? This is where we left things at our last session. What are your wins? What's going well? What do you need support with right now? And then today's session becomes what needs you, it's oh my gosh, I'm so bored of my breakfast. I can't eat overnight oats ever again. All right, let's brainstorm high protein, great breakfast options, that work for you. But I always leave it up to them. And I'm so adaptable now as an experienced nutrition coach. I don't get nervous anymore, not coming in with this set plan, because in the back of my brain, I'm I've got 50 different things I could go through with you. But instead of overwhelming you, I'm going to ask questions first, see where you're at, and then coach to where you're at today.
Makes a lot of sense. No, that's
Yeah.
good. I that is different from the way like I do things and I handle things and even teach it. But like honestly, I think you got to find number one. There's so many different ways that work and can be not only like profitable but also work for the client. So we got to hear different ideas and come across a different way. So that's a great way of approaching that. I was going to ask you because I know you've talked at length about body composition testing and stuff like that, the in-body machine and that type of analysis and using it as a way to like, as a lead magnet and that kind of stuff. How do you approach that within, like, is that something you use within your own coaching, both from an assessment tool as well as like getting people in?
Yes, it is my little secret weapon. So this is great if you're a brick and mortar coach. I mean, don't go blowing the budget if this is not, not feasible because they are a pretty hefty investment. But what I do is one of my lowest package, you got to keep some carrots, dangled out of there. So my medium and my VIP program, they get the body composition testing included. It works as a great upsell where I've had people consider the small package and then they'll go up a level because they're like, oh, I really want that included. So it's a great upsell option. And then it just gets bundled into their price. But I do sell standalone body composition tests in my BodPod machine. I just have it as a self-serve booking through my website. I do about $4,000 or $5,000 a month just in BodPod sales. So like that alone is an awesome income stream. And then that's an opportunity where someone is actually like they're taking it seriously because they've paid to come in. You also will see people rebook over time, people committed to their performance in the gym or they're, trying to lose weight on their own. But as I go through the results with them, I'll just ask some questions about their goals, their training, their nutrition. And it becomes a great little conversation point that if this could be a good fit, you can just present it as an option. But
for sure,
consult because they paid to actually go get their BodPod results.
It's like, I think the biggest thing is, I mean, when you can do things that you actually get paid for to market your service, it's like a completely different dynamic. The right people are in front of you. They're taking it seriously. And that kind of stuff is just kind of like, it serves it up to them. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're saying don't go out and get one, but do you think
if you're brick and mortar, I mean, the in-body scanners are definitely within the realm of like a new BodPod is like $35,000. So they're a big investment. I bought mine used to like get a better deal. But yeah, like if you are a personal trainer that has both like a gym space and, little nutrition coaching space, and that's something you can put up on your website and just, again, remember the satellite. You have to make the website clear. I put on a little YouTube video to like demonstrate how it works and explain what to expect. And then it's just a self-checkout booking link through like Acuity. I can't even tell you, Dr. Marc, I get so many people that like buy it at 2 a.m. Again, they're window shopping, or I call it like the Friday night pizza hangover, like from Friday between 9 and like 1 a.m. I sell all of these BodPod scans on Friday nights. It's so strange.
Oh, man. Yeah, I love jokes. I feel like there's something in there with like some piece of content or something around like,
it's like, oh, you just demolished like a whole pizza and a bag of chips. And now you're like, okay, this is my rock bottom. Let's go get it measured. And then I'm going to work from here.
Absolutely. Oh man, I think I personally have went out of my way to purchase one and even got office space to use it. Although I wouldn't necessarily need it, but I just know how powerful it is. It's almost like, I think when you can do things, like put accuracies aside for a second, but when you do things that keep people in the work for longer, that just allows them to stay more bought in and engaged. And they love that stuff. Like they get a printout where it's like a body report card and they get to compare it against other things. And it just allows them to like keep doing the things that are important. Right. And it's like that just checkpoint around that. So the more we can give people opportunities to do those things, I think the more they see us as the person that can help them.
100%. Yeah.
Without a doubt. As we wrap up here, people getting into nutrition coaching, would you give them, is there any other, so much good advice already today, but is there anything else you touch on around, how to get started, what to look at? I mean, I think there's a bunch of ways we talked about already to like how to stand out, but what else would you add?
I'd say, okay, one final thought is on your website, there's something I call the grunt test. If a caveman or cavewoman stumbled on your homepage, within the first 3 seconds, they should be able to grunt back. What do you do? How do you make my life better? How can I give you money? How do I work with you? So for every coach, if you haven't closely looked at your landing page, and this is without any scrolling, this is just what you see the moment you land, does your website easily answer, what do you do? How do you make someone's life better? How can they work with you? And if you can make that little correction to your website, it will already help you get more clients interested to sign up and work with you. And most websites fail the grunt test. So that's a great place to start.
I love that. That's really, really helpful. How do you, as my final comment here, you have a proclivity for naming things. How are you coming up with all these great names, Jen?
This is my Jen Broxterman brain. It thinks in stories and metaphors and games, and that's just how I like to teach material and explain it, but it makes it sticky. I think I got assigned, I used to be a university professor at Western University here in Canada, and I loved what I was assigned to teach. I got the first year nutrition course for anyone who was not a science major. So it's the art students, the history students, and the poli-sci. And I had to make nutrition really fun, really easy, really simple to remember. And that's when I started using more metaphors and games and those analogies, and they're sticky, they work. So yeah, that's my funny brain.
Without a doubt. I think I don't know if we would have crossed paths, but my foray into nutrition, being someone that was just obsessed with working out and just being in the weight room and reading everything on bodybuilding.com in the early 2000s and all that stuff. I obviously got introduced to Dr. John Berardi's stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And T-Nation and all that stuff. And I saw him speak at Western in 2006.
I was probably at that same symposium in 2006.
I remember a lady kept saying carbos in it instead of carbohydrates. She asked a bunch of questions. I will remember that for literally 19 years later. But that was so I don't know, maybe we cross paths. Who knows?
There's a good chance. We're both Canadians. So
yeah, there we go. I love it. Okay. Thank you so much for the time. The one thing I wanted to add is you have a great resource in terms of a checklist to get started with 6 steps. If you're watching the replay, if you're checking this out now, and you haven't yet signed up for the symposium, make sure to do that so you can get all of the recordings from all the great talks from Jen, as well as the coaching resources. And we're going to have a great one from her. So make sure to do that. But Jen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This was a ton of fun.
Absolutely. We'll have to do it again. Okay. All right. Take care, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
Now, as great as all those tips are, maybe you're still wondering how to start or grow your nutrition coaching. Here's what I want you to do. Go to the first link down in the description below, and you'll get all the details on our Nutrition Coaching Academy certification. It's a 90-day program that'll give you everything you need to start nutrition coaching or to take your nutrition coaching business to the next level. Check out all the details down in the link below, and thanks for watching.